I vividly remember the time when my foster son, that was I would say 2012, I still remember when he was tantruming over a banana that I cut the wrong way. I mean, he had a method of me cutting the bananas for him, and I cut it the wrong way. I cut it the wrong way, and me telling him, "Why can't you just eat that banana and behave?" And then it sunk in me, like if I felt like I was sounding like my parents. I sounded like my mom because I grew up as a highly sensitive, undiagnosed ADHD autistic girl who had a lot of particularities when it comes to the food. And I was just sounding just like my mom when I was having those very specific needs. So if that is you, I want to let you know that you're not alone if you relate to my story. And I'm going to share with you three things that helped me break free from losing my cool and from sounding like my mom. I'm going to share the three steps on how to stop losing your cool so you can respond how you want to respond to your children instead of sounding like your parents. Hello, my name is Marcela Collier. I'm a certified parenting coach and founder of HIC Parenting Education Agency. My team of coaches and I have helped 14,151 parents parent their highly sensitive children with a lot more peace by breaking free from reactive cycles of yelling. So if that's you, then this is the YouTube channel for you. Let's talk about these shifts. But before anything, why does this happen? How come after we promised ourselves that we were not going to sound like our parents, there are times that we do, and then we regret it so much afterwards because these are rooted patterns. Why are these rooted patterns? Think about this. When was the last time that you sounded like your parents? What was your child doing? What were you doing? And the second question that I have, when you sounded like your parents, was your child doing something that you usually got in trouble for growing up? Yeah. So that's the reason why we end up sounding like our parents sometimes, because we are not aware that our children are mirroring back to us what hurt us as children. It triggers us, and then we repeat back with all our default reactions, which is the way that we were raised. So this is not a conscious action. This is an action that comes from our subconscious mind, because that's where our childhood experiences live in our subconscious mind, and they resurface when something very specific happens that triggers that particular emotional memory. So what do we do about it? Does that mean that we have to live at the mercy of our reactivity? No. So there are three powerful things that I did that I found really powerful to help me, considering that I am a neurodivergent person. Yes, I'm diagnosed with autism and ADHD, anxiety disorder, and I'm raising an autistic child. And my foster son, he is neurodivergent as well. So, yes, I have a lot of particularities in my family. And that's why I love to help parents of sensitive and highly sensitive kids and neurodivergent kids raise their kids with a lot more peace, because I'm in it with you guys. So number one, sometimes if that slips out, we tend to stay in a very low place of either sabotaging ourselves and just I was gonna say something that maybe I'm not gonna say here on YouTube, but I already did make a mistake. Then yeah, I'm just going to keep yelling because why would I even try if I always. So that's the self sabotage cycle. Or we stay in a very low place of guilt and shame and beating ourselves up. The first thing is to change that. If you sound like your parents, to reflect on it real quick and say, hey, I just sounded like my parents. If I sounded like my parents, it means that this particular behavior I'm witnessing from my child is subconsciously reminded me of something that I lived growing up that I had a really hard time with, and I wish my parents responded differently. And then once you come to yourself, then choose how you would have liked your parents to respond to you in that case. Number two, reflect. Reflect on why your child is behaving this way. And you know, one way that I like to reflect on how why my child might be behaving this way is by putting myself in their shoes and thinking, when I behaved that way growing up, what was I really feeling at that moment? Then possibly we're going to find things such as I felt disconnected, or I felt scared, or I felt not seen, or I felt jealous of my older sibling. I felt that things were not just in my house and my parents prefer my older brother. When we place ourselves in our children's shoes, we find their feelings. Why is this important to stop losing our cool? Because once we tap into empathy, then that empathy gives us patience. Empathy is what fuels patience. Patience is basically the skill of seeing the other person, seeing their needs and feelings, and respond according to them. When we are lacking patience, we are not seeing the other person. We are not seeing our children. And number three, so let me recap. It's number one, it's grounding yourself in the present moment and seeing like, hey, what can I do differently here? Giving yourself a lot of empathy if you already reacted in a way that you sounded like your parents. Number two, putting yourself into your child's shoes, that helps you be a lot more patient. Empathy breeds patience. And number three, ditch the instruction for a second and focus on connection. Because if you're already feeling that you're losing your cool, then you're moving away from connection. And when you move away from connection, your child moves away from connection as well. And then that's when the power struggles happen. Number one, empathy towards yourself. Number two, reflect on what your child is really feeling and needing if you were in their shoes. And number three, respond to them accordingly to like give your children what you wanted, what you wanted your parents to give you growing up. Focus on connection. Marcela, I want to do all that. How can I, like, tell me a roadmap of how can I tangibly start doing that? I have a free class that will help you. I share with you the Parenting with Understanding of Needs system that has taken me and 14,151 of our clients in HIC Parenting from a lot of reactivity to raising their sensitive and neurodivergent kids with a lot more peace. You can find that class in hicparenting.com. It is free. Or open the description of this video. I'm going to put a card up here as well, and the link is there. I want to ask you a question. What is one thing that you say that you're like, hey, I sound like my parents? For me, it was like, why can't you just behave? What would it be for you? And number two, if you were to give yourself empathy, what would you tell yourself? Let me know in the comments. Encourage one another. We are building a beautiful community here on YouTube. So I want parents to see that they're not alone. And for you to know that you are not alone, that we are in this together. And I want to let you know that it only takes understanding of yourself and of your parents' needs to transform, of your child's needs, understanding of yourself and of your child's needs to transform your parenting. That's parenting with understanding. See you next time. Ciao.